Happy Friday, everybody. Today is February 7th. I'm Kathy. Welcome to Yarn with Heart. For me, January flew by, and here we all are in February already. Although January wasn't as productive as planned, hopeful that February will be much more fun and have much more excitement to share. This week we'll be asking your help. It is decision time. Knit versus crochet when it comes to choosing a shawl pattern, and a check-in about how I did in January as far as using my stash versus using 2025 purchases. Of course, there will be another challenge for all of us from the book The Little Spark, and let's chat about my works in progress, my first ever knit cardigan, and progress on my ABC mosaic blanket. If you would like to find those two or any patterns mentioned in my videos, information about how to find them is in the description box below. Next week will be a start on the shawl pattern. I will decide on which shawl based on your comments about which pattern to choose, knit or crochet. Hoping to show some progress on my February socks that I will be making as I'm jumping into Diane and Alice's sock along, and will try making 4 pairs of socks this year. You might like to check in next week to see if the first pair will be knit or crochet. Thank you so much, everyone, for popping in, for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. I'm so happy that we meet together each week. If you are a person who loves yarn, loves to knit, loves crochet, or any of those three, I'm so happy that you're here. Let's all grab our cup and settle in for a bit of a visit. First today, let's start by talking about making a big mess. Ironically, just now, and by now I mean the moment yesterday when I'm preparing notes for the video, I just looked to see the chapter title for this week in the book called The Little Spark, 30 Ways to Ignite Your Creativity. The title was very appropriately Make a Big Mess. That's exactly what happened this week. So many messes in life, in my yarn. Just a short time ago, I deleted something on mistake that was for this very video and had to start prepping for this video all over again. And truth, this is my third time trying to record this video because of technical problems. Things around here are definitely far from perfect. This book is kind of right words at the right time. And how does that happen? Imagine my relief when I read in this book these quotes. You know you are on the right track if you are making a mess of something. And you are okay and good enough exactly as you are. Thanks to the author, Carrie Bloomston's words, and thanks to encouragement from Judy, I'm prepared for whatever comes next. And also, sometimes messy times are the most creative of all. So there might be lots and lots of crochet and knitting this month for all of us. Last Friday, there was a question from someone about styles of knitting. Thank you so much to the person from last week who had that question for me. And this week, let's continue that theme by talking about styles of crochet. What style do I use in crochet. When it comes to holding a hook, there are two main ones, a knife hold and a pencil hold. So I use a knife hold, and for the other hand, it's easier to show rather than describe how I wrap the yarn. So this is the way I wrap my yarn. And then I just start in to crochet. That's how I tension and hold my yarn. And all this said, I'm sure that there are many, many ways to do these things, and there really is no right or wrong way. If it works well for you, and if it's comfortable and doesn't cause any repetitive use problems, that's the main thing. And at this time, the only place that I get warning twinges when I crochet is this thumb. And there is a story about that. It has nothing to do with yarn at all. Of all things, a sports injury, and I am decidedly not coordinated and not a sporty person. Years ago, the whole family was out bowling, 10-pin bowling with those big balls where you have to stick your thumb and fingers into the ball. Well, somehow, in one of my less graceful moments, I misjudged how close I was to the floor of the lane and jammed the ball into the floor with my thumb in the ball, of course. I didn't break my thumb, but badly sprained it, and never has been the same since. It is my weather barometer and lets me know when I have crocheted over my limit. That was one of my close brushes with sportiness. I have others, one that I can recall with baseball as well. I'm definitely better off as a spectator rather than playing sports. So now about the way I hold the hook and yarn, I think that was decided for me long ago. Some of the first people who I saw crocheting were my grandma and my mother, and pretty sure that at least 3 generations of my family could crochet, including me. So when I eventually tried to learn, I held the crochet hook like a knife, imitating their style. And at first I tried to learn by looking at pictures in a book. That did not go well for me. Then I discovered YouTube tutorials, and Mikey at the Crochet Crowd was the first who I watched, and he also uses a knife hold, so that influenced my technique to stay with that style of holding the crochet hook. So I am definitely a knife hold crocheter. And now on another topic, when it comes to crochet, I kept 2 of the projects that I made when I was first learning. Both are about 13 years old. One is kind of a discolored washcloth. It's well used, and it's from the first times that I was learning half double crochet, and it's got a single crochet border. You can see how I was just learning. The other is a basket, my first attempt at making something in the round. And it was quite tall because I was practicing a number of different stitches, and I just folded over for stability. And both of these are ones that I use day to day. This one holds barrettes and pins and things, and I use it all the time. So my tip is, the next time you're learning something, anything, maybe keep your first couple of small projects just to look back on years later. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking time to email and comment, to share ideas, and to ask me questions. It's fun to hear from you. Today I'm going to ask your help with a question that I'm struggling a bit with, and the question is knit versus crochet. Now, I have decided the yarn that I would like to use for this month for the Something New Make Along. It is an Expression Fiber Arts yarn called Moon Gleam fingering yarn that I was gifted from Judy from Judy's Creations in Crochet. There it is. I would like to use one hank of the yarn. It's mainly in the color Lichen with random splotches of other colors. That yarn choice is a definite. The difficulty is deciding whether to knit or crochet, and I'm asking for your help deciding about this. Here are two patterns I would like to consider. One is a knit Shawlette by Jessica Reeves called Flowers in the Field. I have permission from someone with a completed project to share one of her pictures of the shawl, and I'll share it here. This is the picture. And the other choice is a crochet shawl by Carmen Heffernan called Hot Chili. Unfortunately, I did not hear back yet from the project maker to show a picture of her shawl. That's on me because I only just sent a message to her yesterday. I didn't think of doing it until then and didn't leave her time, a lot of time to get back to me. But if you could do a quick search, there are many lovely pictures of this one to see, and I will put information in the description box about how to find both those patterns. So in general, when I'm deciding between knit and crochet, I try to think of how much time do I have. For me, because I'm more experienced in crochet, it is faster for me than knitting. Also, how much yarn do I have? Knitting takes less yarn to make the same size item, unless the knit one is solid and the crochet one is lacy, then they're about the same amount. How difficult are the stitches? I have more practice at crochet and can take on more complicated stitches than with knitting. And also, are there tutorial videos available to step through the tricky parts? This does make a difference for me as I am a visual learner. So those are a few things I like to consider when it comes to knit versus crochet. So I'm wondering, are there other things that you consider when trying to decide between the two? One of those will be my Something New Make-Along project for this month. This yarn is a new one for me to work with, not having much experience with fingering weight yarn until now. And also, this hank will be my first time finishing a project with silk. So I'd appreciate it is a silk cotton blend. So I'd appreciate any suggestions and advice that you can offer. Please let me know in the comments. What do you think? Knit or crochet? The Flowers in the Field knit shawl or the Hot Chili crochet one? And now let's chat about works in progress. And after that will be a quick look at how much yarn that I used from my stash in January. That will be my Stash Down 2025. So for works in progress, this week I finished knitting the back panel of the knit cardigan. This pattern is one that was suggested by Lynette during a video on her channel, Nina's Knots Crochet. It has been a bit of an uphill climb for me, and yes, there has been frogging involved to get to this point. If anyone would like to try this pattern, it is really well written, and the frogging has been just because I'm inexperienced. Also, this is the first time that I have knit a cardigan. I do have a few tips that might help, things that I learned along the way in case there are people who are interested in giving this one a try. First, the size is very, very generous. I found that sizing down one size is going to work out well for me. It won't give as much ease as the pattern calls for, however, still will be comfy and still give 7 inches of positive ease. For me, that will be generous and the maximum amount of ease that I will want to wear. Often I set this one down for a time, and there is a risk that I might forget which row of a 2-row repeat that I should be working on. So the next tip is that I put a red stitch marker on the right side, and then when I see that marker close to my working needle, I automatically knew which of the 2 rows that I needed to do. And the third tip is the pattern calls for bulky weight yarn, and since I wanted to work from my stash, I tried holding 2 strands of Bernat Super Value together and used a 10mm knitting needles. It worked up really well, pretty much to gauge, so this could be a good substitute to try if you don't have the bulky weight yarn that you would like on hand. So the pattern I'm using is my big comfy ribbed Cardi. It's a pattern by Jessica Reeves from Mama in a Stitch. It's free on her blog or available for sale on Etsy. I'm using Bernat Super Value in the color Topaz and 10mm needles. So far I have completed 2 front panels and the back panel, and next I will work the 2 sleeves and pockets. Those will probably take me a while to do, and I'm calling this one my slow knitting project, so I'm taking my time. It could be quite a while before seeing the next update on this project. The other project that I've been working on this week is a mosaic blanket. This one I started at the beginning of January, and unfortunately there were a few weeks when I had to set this one aside, just until I was feeling a bit better and could reliably count and keep track of the stitches. Now I'm ready to start row 114 out of 157 rows. For anyone who's new, the name of the pattern is ABC Rainbow Blanket by Lynette Kosar from Lavender Cup Cottage. The pattern is available for purchase on Ravelry. It's a baby blanket using mosaic overlay. Oh, I'm using 4mm hook and Cambridge Fibers Advent yarn. Some of this I received in the 2024 Advent, some in the 2025 Advent, and also some in a yarn swap that I did with Diane from My Pink Bathtub. And the white yarn is Grundle Big Lisa Premium in the color 7D. The stitches are pretty straightforward. That said, it does need some careful counting, and I have occasionally had to pull back some stitches. This is my start to mosaic, and it might have started something because I'm pretty sure it won't be my only mosaic blanket that I do. I'm really having fun with this. So now, For a quick wrap up about Stash Town 2025 for January, thank you so much for Judy, as she inspired me to consider doing this. I've been thinking about it since last year. However, in 2024, without knowing about Queen's Crafts by Bridget and without realizing that Stash Down 2024 was a thing, I was weighing my total yarn used, regardless of when I had purchased. And much of that yarn was current year purchases, so I didn't qualify for a Stash Down. All I can say is, how did it take me so long to find Bridget? I know. This year, I will be weighing projects that I have made with yarn I bought up until December 31st, 2024. Maybe I will still keep track of total yarn used also, but that will be in a separate place. So this will only be stash yarn. Now, January was not a great finished object month. However, I did get 7 small items completed. They were small ones because I wasn't feeling top of the mark for much of January, but it was actually more than I thought I had accomplished. So all of the yarn that I used in January was from Stash. And the total weight of the yarn was 540 grams or 19 ounces. Now, I did make a little chart for myself in Word, so I can keep track through the year. If anyone would like me to send them an empty one of those charts so you can keep track of yours too, just send me an email and I will forward you a copy. This is going to be fun. Bridget has lots of ways that you can let her know your numbers each month, and you can pop over to her channel to find out how. You don't have to do videos in order to join in. It's for everyone to join in. So here we go. Here are my projects. I did this makeup bag. I also did 4 washcloths, and these were part of Mad Mimi Crochet and Farming's Make Along. So I did those. I did a brioche hat and an angled shawl. And information about all of these will be in the description box. So thank you everyone so much for your comments and your thumbs, for your friendships here, and for all that we share. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy your crochet, enjoy your knitting, and I hope to see you next Friday.